Hey everyone, Richard from Digital Foundry here, and this is WWE 2K18 on Nintendo Switch. And interesting game this, because we've had a lot of requests to cover it, a lot of concern over its quality, and it's recently had a new patch, so we thought we would get around to taking a look at it. And the man who has been poring over this game all day, Tom Morgan.
Hi there. It has been one on our wish list since Christmas. This one comes in a long run of Switch ports we've seen from other current gen titles. A very popular console, and so a lot of publishers and developers have kind of jumped on board with varying results. And this is one of the games which might be a candidate for worst port of them all.
And he escapes the submission. And good thing, that could have been disastrous.
Okay, to get some kind of idea about, how the port actually works, we actually sourced the Xbox One version as well. Okay, so let's talk about the comparison. Direct head-to-head here, Xbox One versus Switch. And we're going to kick off with these, how shall I put it, extended intros of each character here. Now, one thing that I am curious about here is the content seems to be sort of similar, but the timing is completely different.
That's right. So I said about making this a visual comparison, and usually I speed adjust the clips to kind of make them actually sync up. But this time I thought, no, this game has a completely separate problem, and that is due to the lower frame rate on Switch, actual cutscenes get slowed down and also the gameplay as well.
Okay, so we are actually talking about slowdown here, because usually when we talk about performance drops, we're talking about skipped frames, but it isn't actually skipping the frames as far as we can tell. It's rendering all of them, but when it can't keep up, it literally slows down, kind of like Super NES back in the day.
That's exactly right. So it's kind of an old school style of slowdown, and well, you can still get an idea of the visual comparisons. I didn't dwell on it too much. Things like ambient occlusion stripped off. You can see there's no shading underneath this character's hair, and there's lower res textures and lower res effects. But the fact is, this slowdown makes this whole cutscene a bit of an ordeal to sit through.
Yeah, I came in this morning with my coffee, and you were already hard at work on this one. And you were capturing these intro scenes, and I literally sort of sat down and was watching this play out, and I thought, this is curious. And then, about 10, possibly even 15 minutes later, the cutscenes were still continuing, and I'd finished my coffee by that point. So, well, they are extended somewhat to begin with, but they're also subject to pretty bad slowdown.
The fact is, this is a big selling point of the game. When you buy a wrestling game, or indeed, a game like FIFA, a big part of the experience is seeing these characters realized realistically and authentically.
So to be clear here, this is actually real time.
This is real time, yeah. And that comes bundled with another problem, which is because the graphics renderer is slowing down, it doesn't keep in sync with the audio. So now imagine a character has a big crowd-rousing speech. Well, what happens on the Switch version is you hear the soundbite of him saying a bunch of stuff, and then a few seconds later you see his lips move.
My name is Enzo Amore, and I am a certified G and a bona fide stud, and you can't teach that.
Right, and this slowdown obviously has a profound impact on the game. Now we're looking at gameplay here, and Xbox One versus Switch. Now the Xbox One is running at 60 frames per second, so yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, please ensure you have your 60 frames per second mode active, because you can actually see here the difference in fluidity between the two versions. And just to reiterate once again, both of these feeds are actually real-time captures. We've not slowed down anything or sped anything up on the Xbox side.
Shall we move on to the frame rate readings now?
Yeah, I think we've got to get some numbers on this.
The intros, for what it's worth, they run at 20 FPS down to about 13 FPS at worst.
So this is docked mode, and well, there is some curious stuff going on with resolution.
That's it, yeah, they've got a dynamic resolution setup on Switch, a bit similar to Xbox One actually. The game is targeting 720p on the handheld and also the docked side, and they do kind of drop the resolution to around 960 by 540. That's an approximation, but it's 75% of 720p. By comparison to Xbox One, which goes from 900p down to about 720p, at points where it's really strained. This is obviously an image quality hit.
Okay, And this is the dock mode that we're looking at here. But curious thing, now we get some metrics for the portable mode, and we do this by taking screenshots using the system level screenshot function. But our efforts here came to naught.
The fact is, Switch usually enables it, but in this game, it's one of the rare sorts that just disables the function completely. Usually the video capture function on Switch is the thing that gets disabled in demanding titles where there's not enough CPU power in the background to leverage it. But in this game, both screenshot and video completely disabled, which is telling.
Yeah, it seems to be unprecedented. I don't think we've seen that in any other title before. So let's skip ahead to gameplay, because this is where frame rate is actually of crucial importance. So we've got this 3x3 tag team. That's the kind of top-end configuration, the biggest stress test, right? That's
right. Now they've actually stripped the Switch version of the 8-player game, so the 8-player Battle Royales. Just a missing segment on the menu now, and looking at this you can see exactly why that's happened. I mean, 20 frames per second pretty much constantly all the way through, and you know, obviously that affects the speed of the game, and it just feels, for a game that's already fairly slow in pace, this feels like a real slog.
Okay, but this is a kind of top-end stress test, so if we go to a 1 versus 1 wrestling match, presumably it's a bit smoother.
Yeah, that's fair to say. This is a 1v1, you get 25 to 30 here. It really depends on the stage, to be honest, if there's a really complex area with lots of people in the crowd. But there are other stages where it's just like a locked 30 with some occasional frame time spikes to 16 milliseconds.
Okay, so let's confirm that the Xbox One version is indeed running a lot faster, so this is how it looks.
Basically, Xbox One runs with a 30 FPS cap in the cutscenes, but the gameplay, obviously 60 frames per second. Only a few stutters in the 6-man game I've selected here, purely for comparison with what Switch is doing. But yeah, it is 60 most of the way, and you know, it's a stark difference. It feels like, once again, the Switch is being targeted as a portable first. When you plug this console in and dock it, really so much more inferior to play compared to the Xbox One.
I remember doing a video about how great it's going to be to get so many ports onto Switch, but at the same time they've got to be good ports, and it looks like there's just a whole host of issues with this one. You know, I can take graphical downgrades on the Switch because fundamentally it is a less capable system than the current gen systems. I mean, it's built on a mobile chipset, of course, but at the same time we've seen so many games that have tailored the experience to the sort of hardware power that's available.
John Cena's starting to take some deep breaths in there.
So, well, let's leave things there. Please do like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and if by any chance you do want to see this video in pristine quality, yes, we have this on our Patreon site at digitalfoundry.net. But that's all from us for now. Thanks for watching.
Oh God, that was hitting the nail right on the head. If he takes many more of those, he's going to get lit up like a Christmas tree. So what do you think about Seth Rollins?